Good.
All right.
We're gonna send it to
Let's
you.
talk about the buckets. Here's what I saw last night. I'll start short form and we can develop this.
Okay.
I saw an offensive play caller that was mindset on getting the run game going so they could call action pass, hoping not to get any third and longs because they didn't love their matchups up front in a must-pass situation. Justin could have played better on a couple third downs in the first half. He could have got the ball out. There was some immediate, again, we talked about this, some immediate leverage anticipation throws, especially to his right, where he could have got the ball out of his hand. I think he got sacked on one, the pocket collapsed to his right, and another one kind of extended the play and ended up being an incomplete pass, if I remember correctly. And I don't mind that mindset until it backfires and the quarterback has no rhythm. So you take that drive in the fourth quarter when they run it down Green Bay's throat. The one pass, the naked bootleg, he could have got rid of that ball, made an incompletion instead of a sack. They overcome that with the big long run to get him the first down. But you end up getting into the red zone where you're going to have to run it in. You're not going to have a choice. The other thing that happens in that way of playing football is then you're never going to be able to throw your way back into a game because your quarterback's never established any rhythm, any vision, any feel for the passing game because you've been so restrained. You've had restraints on the whole game with being a handoff guy and an action guy. So that's kind of my 30,000-foot view of how I saw that game.
Well, that's really interesting, Trent. And obviously you have a lot of experience as an NFL quarterback on teams that ran the ball a lot. Mm-hmm. And you felt when a play caller didn't necessarily believe that the quarterback dropping back was the best thing. Can that be discouraging for a young quarterback? Justin was very down after this one.
Yeah, you could see that. I could understand why he was down, yes. And I'm not blaming the coaches here. Listen, they see him every day in practice. They know what they feel like they can and can't do. It's not always the quarterback. It's also other matchups. Can your receivers get open versus man? Can you protect against a five-man rush? Can you protect against a certain rusher? Blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of things that go into game planning. So I'm not in the building, so I don't know all the concerns that they have. But as a quarterback, you want what we call freebies. You want, if you look at the great play callers around the league, their quarterbacks start the game with about 8 to 12 completions, just freebies, just your screen game, your perimeter pick and stick game, some of your creative plays. I saw the Packers come out last night and run 2 fly sweeps, which count as completions to wide receivers. You're always great play callers look for a way to take the burden off the quarterback for about 8 to 12 completions a game. There was none of that. So as a quarterback, you never feel like you're getting in a rhythm. I remember once talking to Troy Aikman and he said, hey, all I needed Norv to do was throw a hitch. If I could complete a hitch early in the game, I felt like I was a legend in my own mind. I was unstoppable. But those games with Emmett where we just turn around and hand it off, turn around and hand it off, turn around and hand it off, then I never felt like I was playing the game. I felt like I was a supporting actor. I didn't feel like I was the lead. And all of us quarterbacks somewhat are narcissistic, right? We're all kind of legends in our own mind. We've all had the ball in our hand our whole life. We've all been the lead actor, not a supporting actor. So you want to kind of feed that beast a little bit. And I didn't see any of that last night. And that's the only criticism I have is we won't know what Justin is until we give him a chance to have a 26 to 33 play pass game that are balanced passes. They're not all 3rd and 7s, the hardest position, the hardest down to play in football.
Quarterbacks and talk show hosts have a lot in common. I never knew that.
Yeah.
So to your point of what you saw from 30,000 feet of setting up the run, play action, not getting into the obvious passing downs because of concern about protection and everything else around Justin. When they were in those situations, did it feel justified? Was the concern in the personnel based on the matchup justified to you?
I don't know if there was enough evidence. I mean, they had a handful of drives in the first half. The first drive went well. It was mixed a little bit. It wasn't all one-dimensional. The fourth quarter drive, now then, they have 3 straight 3-and-outs to end the first half.
Yep.
Then they start the fourth quarter, the second half with a 3-and-out, and then they get the 1 fourth quarter drive, which is all run calls except 2, and one was a naked bootleg that Justin should have thrown the ball away. Instead, he takes a sack, and then the scramble down that I thought came close to being a touchdown, ends up going out the 6-inch line, whatever. So I like the drive. I mean, it was awesome how they ran the ball. I thought it was creative in the run game, how they got down there. I'm just telling you that's a short tail for success. I lived it in Tampa where, great, we're running the ball well and we're kicking a bunch of field goals, right? Because explosives, game-changing plays are made in the passing game. And you have to invest into the passing game to get those explosives. I think Ron Jaworski, when he was doing TV all those years, used to say, you move the ball with the run game, but you score points with the pass game, something to that effect. And that's true. Like, the only way to be consistent scoring offense and being explosive is with the pass game, and you need to invest into it. It's easy to call runs. It's a little bit harder to call passes because so many bad things can happen when you pass. But if you don't invest into those pass calls, you're never going to be good in the pass game.
This is the conundrum of coaching, isn't it? It's like, how can a left-handed batter learn to hit left-handed pitching if you never give him a chance to hit left-handed pitching? And in the major leagues, Trent Dilfer would lean in, it sounds like, and give him some more opportunities in the passing game. Trent, what we saw from him, there were some real troubling moments, and I want to figure out whether we should be as troubled as some of us are. When he throws the ball, he's like 2 yards past the line of scrimmage. And it's like, whoa. Like, we're coming out of living with a quarterback who we used to see run out of bounds a lot and take sacks instead of throwing it away outside the pocket. So that feeling of, oh my God, my quarterback doesn't have the awareness that's requisite for the position. Haven't had that feeling for Justin. Had that feeling on that play last night. How troubled should I be by it?
I actually didn't freak out about it that much. I mean, he makes a hard climb. I mean, yes, he should just run the ball. He had that open lane. But, I mean, I also understand on hard climbs up inside the pocket, you sometimes, and you've seen other quarterbacks do this. This isn't just Justin Fields. Other guys get, Eli Manning, I think, had 6 in 1 year, where you're climbing up and you're not quite sure where you're at, and the guy flashes and you throw it. I didn't freak out about that one. It's the same as you see a guy on a bootleg a lot of times. He'll get out on the corner and he'll decide to throw it instead of run it because you're so trained to keep your eyes downfield, attack the line of scrimmage. It's not like NFL players don't make mistakes on spatial awareness every once in a while. I put that in kind of the spatial awareness, lost track of it. It was not a huge thing for me.
There was one for me. He was asking for them to send the play call in again.
Yes.
With less than 15 seconds. So I said either he didn't know how much time was left on the play clock or he didn't know that the communication got cut off, and I don't really love either answer. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I on the road, and again, it sounds like I'm going to make excuses for him. I'm just trying to give context to this. You're getting the play through the headset in your helmet. You're communicating the play. Sometimes you get 3/4 of it. Sometimes you get half of it. Sometimes you can piece the rest together by just getting pieces of the play. It is a challenge on the road. One of the hardest things to do on the road as a young player is process game clock, play getting in, communicating to your team. And then if there's a flaw in that, do I make the decision just to go with a play that isn't the play being called or ask for the play again? So again, without being out there and knowing what he got in his helmet, I understand the challenge of the communication on the road in a hostile environment with loud crowd noise and wanting to be, wanting to do the right thing. Like the intent is, hey, I want to get the right play call. Do I have enough time for you to get it to me, get it to my players, and get up a line of scrimmage and snap the ball? That was a challenge. I thought the other thing that kind of got me a little bit was the miscommunication on the one play where the snap comes a little early.
Yep.
He's trying to change the play. And again, it appears if he tries to change it too late. Like there's a rhythm to the offensive line, the backs, the receivers, knowing when you're going to change a play. And once you kind of pass that threshold of time, you got to learn, hey, I don't mess with changing a play at this point because everybody else is kind of guessing on what they're hearing too, and they're ready to go. And all of a sudden you're throwing us a curveball by trying to change a play late in the count. So I definitely think there's some young player communication operations, maybe put it in that category, just kind of an operational thing that they need to clean up a little bit.
Trent Dilfer with us here on Parkins and Spiegel as we analyze Justin Fields and the Bears after a tough loss on Sunday night in Green Bay. Trent, what we're going to play for you is the first moments he talks to any media. It's a one-on-one with a colleague of ours on the post-game show, and you'll hear Justin very down, but he does give you one kind of saying, and I'm wondering if you could help decode it. This is right after the game.
It's got to be better, plain and simple.
What specifically when you look at yourself and your game tonight, what did you think that you needed to do better?
Just play on track. We just got to be better as a team. I think, penalties hurt us, and we just got to be better.
Play on track. You have any idea what that means for a quarterback and Luke Getsy? What does play on track mean?
Yeah, so remember when Merrill Hodge used to do TV, they used to do that great show in the morning. Maybe they still do it, and he would always talk about staying on schedule, often staying on schedule. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
I'm guessing on track is just another way of staying on schedule. When you're a ball control offense, okay, and that's, you're not an explosive offense. You're not going to be an explosive offense. You might show signs of it during the year, but you're going to be a ball control offense, try to play good defense, win in special teams, win in one-score games. I think we went over all this last week or the week before. You got to make sure you're on schedule, meaning penalties kill you. Number one thing you can't do is have pre-snap penalties because right away you're in a negative yardage situation behind the sticks and you're playing uphill. As a quarterback, it means taking a profit. Okay, so the easiest way to explain it is you always want to take a profit. You don't want to wait for a better investment to come along. Just put your money in savings and get your, these days not as much, but get your 2.1% or whatever it is in your savings account. Be a conservative investor, always get a profit. To stay on track is their term. The quarterback has to be very clear what he's seen. He's got to have very good pre-snap recognition. He's got to know, we call it here at Lipscomb, take the cheese, right? There's always cheese out there. Take the cheese, take the cheddar, take the Swiss, take the Gouda. We don't care what kind of cheese it is, take the cheese. Meaning take the profit. You could see that. You could see a couple times, and I referred to one of the sacks. He has an immediate double outbreaking route to his right. Doesn't matter down in distance. Get that ball out of your hand. Get it to the runaway outbreaking route. Maybe he breaks a tackle, but at least you're going to get a profit on that play. A lot of young quarterbacks, and Justin, I think this is going to be probably his biggest issue, is waiting for something better to happen instead of taking the good thing that's right there in front of you now.
Yeah, he talked about taking his singles, right, Danny? After he talked to the mental skills coach, take your singles, don't wait for the homer all the time.
Yes, and he grew up in an offense. This is a criticism that Ryan Day gets. It's a criticism I get here. It's a criticism a lot of aggressive play callers get, is they train their quarterbacks to be overly aggressive. Because they hit so many home runs. If you're in an offense that's really diverse, has a lot of multiplicity to it, has a lot of deep shot opportunities, your quarterback's going to be trained like the play caller. Like, we're assassins. We're trying to throw touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. And you grow up in that. It's very hard to then go backwards and become a singles hitter.
Well, I've praised him for that, Trent, like the touchdown to check down mentality that he had coming out of college. You don't want to take that away, right?
I agree. It happened to me. So I was a very aggressive passer in college, hardly ever threw an interception in college, hit tons of home runs. I get the NFL and I'm just being told, don't, can't, won't, shouldn't, be safe, be careful. And I think it hijacked my career. Now, my personal decisions hijacked it more than that, but it definitely created a tentativeness to my game that had never showed up before. And I don't want to see that happen to Justin. It kind of goes to my earlier remarks about giving him a chance to throw it 25 to 33 times in balanced downs in a game so that the fullness of his game can show. Now, some flaws are going to show if you do that, but you're also going to see a lot of good things that you can build off of. If you play this, 11 attempt game the rest of the year, and part of that's because defense couldn't go off the field, but let's say he becomes a 22 to 25 volume thrower a game, you're never going to have a proper perspective on the type of player he is, and most importantly, you're not going to find out the really good things he can do, and that's going to limit you.
It was the Niners in a monsoon, and then it was the Packers in their home opener at night in Lambeau. Next couple of games are Texans at home and then at the Giants. Bears fans are starved, Trent, for the last, 3, 4, 5, 6 decades. But also just
hey,
they
man,
so badly.
Sid Luckman was really good. Okay.
But do you think we're going to see not good throws, not good moments, not good halves? Do you think we're going to see good games and stretches from Justin Fields as soon as this year?
Yes. I think we'll see a handful. I think you'll see a handful of, okay, this is why we took him this early. This is what the kid is. They're growing, they're learning, they're evolving as a team. Everybody's trusting each other more. And I think you're going to see a handful of stinkers because anytime you take that chance, you open it up a little bit and you allow the guy to be who he is. You're also going to have young player mistakes. That's why I say this every show I do. It's everybody wants to judge guys after 14, 18, 22. They're judging 2 after 25 starts. I still think it's in the 30 to 36 start category before we really know what a quarterback's going to be. Unfortunately, I'm on an island there with that many starts. Most people think it's younger than that, but I still think you need to give a guy 30 to 36 starts before you really know what he is.
And Fields is at 12.
Yeah.
Yes.
So by no metric should people be out on him yet. So at the end of the year, if he stays healthy, should be 27. And then midway through next year 3 in the NFL, year 2 in Getsy's system is where you think it should be clicking.
Yes, and I would say this is why we talked about the fun bucket thing last year.
Yeah, there's not been enough bucket conversation.
You need, but bring it back to the buckets. Is as long as the stuff bucket is still growing and he's showing the right mentality, he's great in press conferences. He's the anti-Ryan Leaf. He's working hard. Good things are coming out of the building. His teammates respect him. He's not casting blame. He's taking ownership, blah, blah, blah. Go on and on and on. That bucket stays full. And then we need to see the playmaking bucket stay full. We didn't see enough of it last night. If those 2 buckets are full, then yes, give him the 30 to 36 starts on the drop back bucket.
Okay.
Man, what you just touched on in the post game is one other item that's out there right now, Trent, is that he was just very upset. Answers were really short, not a lot of diction, a lot of monotone. You'll have to ask the offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy, says stuff like that. You got to be careful when you're a young quarterback to make sure you represent well when it's not going well on the field, don't you?
You do, and I made those mistakes. You're trying to do the right thing by not throwing anybody under the bus. Less is more, blah, blah, blah. But you also just got to have a presence to you that, yeah, you can be competitive, you can be pissed, you can be broken at times, but you got to stand up there and own it. And you got to look reporters in the eyes. And you got to give longer answers, and you got to have conversations, and you got to talk to them on Wednesdays when they get your ear. And it's a hard job. That's why we call it the hardest job in sports. That's why you have to kind of be a CEO, not just a quarterback. And he's learning a lot of this on the fly.
Last thing with Trent Dilfer, in a lot of pockets of Bears fandom and media, Luke Getsy's getting crushed for 4th and inches QB power out of shotgun. What did you think of the play call? What did you see on the play?
I mean, I hated it. It's a really good call if it's packaged with a man beater. I made this mistake my first year of coaching, put the same play in against a similar defense, and people say, high school pro. It's all the same. It's a numbers count. It's a gap count up front. It's a great call if it's packaged with a man beater, a press beater, a loaded box beater, and it wasn't.
Explain what that means.
So you're in the shotgun, you're in a 4 wide receiver set. If you have them spread out and they're in a zone look and you have numbers, it's a great call. It's a very hard play to defend, especially with a quarterback the size of Justin. By the way, I thought he scored on it anyways.
Right, exactly.
But it's got to be kind of a check with me with, okay, they're going to add people to the box. They're going to play a man outside. It's got to be packaged with some type of pick play, some type of right now receiver has a chance to get open on an in-breaking or out-breaking route, because that's where your advantage is. I didn't like that it was just a go call. A go call is we're going to call it, and you're going to go with it regardless of defense. That's what bothered me.
This was so good, Trent. We're going to give you your open back next week.
Thank you. I seriously need it. I mean, I get beat down all week long, and then Mondays I'm like, at least I get to hear 90 seconds of good stuff that I did, and then today I got to hear a bucket for 90 seconds.
I was thinking that next week we might just list all the kinds of cheeses.
I'm good with that too.
Gouda, Swiss, provolone, mozzarella. You went through all the cheddars that your team picks up.
Munster.
You know what? We're going to find a Fresno State highlight and add that in for next week.
Oh, there actually were a lot of those. So. All right.
See you, Trent.
Thanks,
See you
Trent.
guys.